Hope you're having a great week. Today we're going to talk about what to do when drills go stale. So what opportunities are there to progress the drills you're using, and what can you do to ensure that swimmers continue to be challenged by the drills that you're using? I've received several related questions on this topic, and so I'm going to tackle that here. From my perspective, whenever you're using drills, you want to be using the best drills and you want to ignore the rest of them. Because why waste time on something that doesn't work nearly as well as another option? Now, best is going to be up to you, what you found to work, and what works best for your situation. Regardless of the drills that you use, sooner or later, they're going to get kind of boring, they're going to get kind of stale, and swimmers aren't going to be getting the same benefits as they were when they were first introduced to those drills. So the obvious question becomes, what do you do to ensure that swimmers continue to progress? I'm going to dive into the different ways that I handle the problem so that you can have some options in terms of how you'd like to address the problem for your situation and your coaching and your athletes. The way I think about it is, once swimmers get the basic hang of the drill, they understand what's supposed to be accomplished, they understand what to do, it's time to start training the drills. You may have heard that fatigue is bad for learning. However, that's not true. Once swimmers understand what they're supposed to do, fatigue and challenge can actually enhance learning. For instance, when swimmers can perform the same skill in more difficult situations, they've obviously learned. They've learned to do the same thing at a higher level, and that means their skills are improved. So I'm going to go through 8 different ways that you can challenge drills. They're all effective, they all work. Some may be better for certain drills, some may be better for certain circumstances, some may be better for certain goals that you have. You just have to apply the different concepts, the different strategies to your context, and that's going to help you get the best results for your swimmers. So the first strategy is use speed. Start going faster. Give swimmers objective times to hit. And these times don't need to be maximal, they don't even need to be fast, but by requiring them to achieve a certain standard, they're going to have to change how they swim and how they perform the drill. You can have them descend, you can have them build, you can just give them certain times and have them go faster, you can descend and build, you can do all sorts of different ways by using time goals to force them to change how they're doing. If they're just swimming a 25 in a certain drill, it's going to be a little bit different when they have to hit a certain time, especially if you're having them hit different times within a set, they're going to have to swim differently and execute the drill differently. It can be a really powerful tool and you can use it to create change. Obviously, if you want swimmers to learn to do these skills at speed, you're going to need to introduce speed anyway. Separate from that, using speed in general is a great way to create change. The second strategy is use stroke counts. You can have them take more strokes than they're used to. You can have them take less strokes than they're used to. You can have them alternate between different stroke counts. And that alternation can be between repetition with repetition. It can be within a repetition. So if you're doing a drill and you're doing a bunch of 25s, they can just alternate by repetition. If you're having them do 75s, you can change the stroke counts either within the 75 or by 75. So say the odds, they have to take 10 strokes. The evens, they have to take 8 strokes, whatever the numbers are for the drill in question. By forcing them to change their stroke count, you're forcing them to adapt their skills. A lot of swimmers are really inflexible with their timing and their stroke counts, and so if you can have them go higher and lower and have them switch back and forth, you're going to help them build some skill and some flexibility in their skills, and that's going to be really valuable. What I really like about stroke counts is it forces swimmers to change how they swim. They have an objective number that they have to hit, and they either did it or they didn't do it. And if they did it, they know what to do next time. If they didn't, they know they have to change something again and try again to make it happen. Stroke counts force change, and in this context, when we're using drills and we're trying to create change, that's really powerful. Now, more stroke length over time is going to lead to more speed, and so this is a great way to integrate that process into your drills. And then while longer is better, different is also better too, so having swimmers go higher and lower is really valuable. Next, number 3 is stroke rate. Some swimmers really struggle to slow down their stroke rate when they're performing certain drills, and other swimmers really struggle to speed up their stroke rate when performing certain drills. By requiring them to do both, they're going to learn a lot about their skills, and they're going to be forced to change how they execute a given drill. So you're expanding the drill with a lower stroke rate, you're creating more space within the drill, and then you're really compressing the drill when you have them swim at higher stroke rates. They don't have as much time between the different phases, so they're going to have to learn how to pick that up. When you've expanded it, they're going to have to learn how to maintain momentum and maintain rhythm when they've got more space between the different pieces. And so those are 2 really great challenges to help swimmers improve their skills. Once they get the hang of that, you can alternate between higher and lower, so they have to switch back and forth. It's going to improve the flexibility of their skills, which is really valuable. And as with stroke counts and speed, they have an objective number to hit. They either didn't or they did, and they have to adjust based upon what happened. Number 4 is training aids, and training aids are great because they get an instant change. They instantly change how swimmers execute and how swimmers perform a certain drill. The same drill is going to be very different when performed with fins, performed with a buoy, when it's performed with paddles, or it's performed with a weight belt. Different training aids are going to have specific impacts on a given drill, but they're also just going to have a general impact in that they're going to force swimmers to do something different. And so different for different sake can be valuable, and it's also valuable to use specific training aids for specific purposes. For instance, if you use a buoy during an arm pull focused drill, it's going to make that drill even more powerful because the swimmers can't compensate with the legs. They have to do all the work with the upper body. That's an example of using a certain training aid for a specific purpose. Of course, you can just rotate through training aids so swimmers experience a lot of different ways to execute the same drill, and that's really valuable as well. There are tons of options here, and they're all good. Number 5 is resistance. Using resistance is going to change what swimmers experience during the drill. It will feel different, and they will have to swim differently in order to manage the resistance. They're going to get a lot more feedback on the propulsive limb because of all that extra pressure that they have to create, and they're going to be more effective at creating propulsion. Resistance can also really challenge the ability to maintain position in the water because it often drags the hips down, so swimmers are going to have to work even harder to maintain their position, and that can be really effective for a lot of different drills where body position is being challenged. Number 6 is change the hands. So you can have them go closed fist, okay, horns, you can have them hold a paddle upside down, you can have them pinch a paddle, you can just have them wear a paddle, you can do all sorts of different things to improve and change different hand postures. The hands are a huge focus in swimming, and so much of the sensory information that swimmers get comes through the hands. And so if you can change what they feel, you're going to change what they experience, and you're going to change how they execute the drill. The same drill becomes really different when you change hand postures, and that's a really effective strategy for changing how drills are experienced, and that can really create more challenge. Number 7 is fatigue. So you can use any of the strategies above, or you can simply use the drills unchanged, but just start adding more fatigue to it. You just want to increase the challenge over time, just like you would in a set. So faster speeds, less rest, longer distances. Whatever drill it is, you can just train it like it's a stroke. The alternative is you can do something hard and then move right into the drill. So for instance, you can go 100 breaststroke kick really hard, and then you can go right into a 53 kicks 1 pull. In all cases, swimmers are forced to execute drills really well when they're really fatigued, and that's going to require a lot more focus, a lot more intention, because it's going to be a lot harder for them to do it well. And that struggle, that challenge is where they're going to learn. This can be even more effective when they have to hit certain times or certain stroke counts or certain stroke rates, because again, they're having to accomplish a specific goal, but they're having to do it in a really difficult situation. Strategy number 8 is variability. So you want to use all the different strategies that I've talked about so far and then just switch back and forth between all of them. You can do that within a week, you can do that within a set, you can do that within a practice. You're just trying to do the drill in as many different ways as possible. By requiring swimmers to perform the same skill, the same drill in a lot of different ways, they're going to learn the most effective ways to execute that drill. And when you do that in a short period of time within the same set, it can be really difficult for swimmers to switch back and forth between different situations. So it's one thing to do a drill with resistance and then go right in to do it with a really low stroke count. That can feel really different. And that's really challenging for swimmers to make that switch and still make it happen. The better they can do that, the more skilled they are. You can even just mix it up within one of the categories. For instance, use a lot of different stroke counts, or use a lot of different speeds, or use a lot of different training aids, or use a lot of different hand positions. You're not changing the strategy you're using, you're just using a lot of different variations of the same strategy. Change for change's sake is going to help swimmers learn. So, a good drill should never go stale. There are tons of ways to challenge skills. Just pick one, implement it, then do another one, then use another strategy. You'll start to figure out which strategies you really like for which purposes and which drills. There are no rules in terms of how to use these strategies, provided you're challenging swimmers and you're providing them with the opportunity to improve. Just pay attention, make sure they're successful, and you're good to go. Hope that helps, and as always, keep it simple.